We speak with Paul Bramson. He's CEO of the Paul Bramson Companies, and collectively, they've trained more than 400,000 professionals across the world.
In negotiation, I want people to be very careful about showing emotion when you negotiate. Why are we having problems connecting with people? The reason why we're having problems is people are not formally coached and trained on how to identify how somebody is built from an underlying need perspective. What's the biggest challenge in the workplace? This is what I see as the biggest challenge. I do this in sales training, I do this in leadership training, and I do this with keynotes. It's that popular because it's that applicable.
And here's an insider's brief about understanding and effectively connecting with people to sell and lead better. And we're going to help you hone your negotiation abilities. We speak with Paul Bramson. He's CEO of the Paul Bramson Companies, and collectively, they've trained more than 400,000 professionals across the world. Get your pen and paper out. This is going to be short, punchy, to the point. Lots of information here, lots to learn. Hi, Paul. Welcome to the Tony DUrso
Tony,
Show.
thanks for having me. I love punchy.
All right. We're going to punch this up. And I'm going to tackle something that we could do a series for years, but we're going to do it in just a couple of minutes. I want to tackle why aren't there healthier and more productive relationships in the business world today? And perhaps let's talk about, now I've been in corporate America for like 32 years, I think.
Yeah.
So, and I've got my own take on this, but I'd like to ask you, because you've got all this experience and you've trained so many, what do you say is the biggest work environment challenge as it relates to this issue today?
Okay, so let me go back to the initial thing. Why are we having problems connecting with people? The reason why we're having problems is people are not formally coached and trained on how to identify how somebody is built from an underlying need perspective. So when they're able to discern that, they can pivot words and languages and behaviors to better resonate with somebody so they're willing to listen to somebody. So for instance, Tony, has anyone ever talked to you and the minute they start talking, they're using words that turn you off? Does that ever happen to you, Tony?
I'm sure.
Both in your personal and your professional, of course, it happens every day.
I'm certain, yeah.
And there's probably people in your life you like to be around because they talk to you in a way that resonates versus other people may talk to you in a way that doesn't resonate. So when you talk about what's the challenge with connecting, people don't know how to discern how somebody's built and then use the words and the phrases to keep somebody motivated and productive. And when you talk about it from a leadership perspective, you've been in the corporate world for many, many years, just like myself. And you know that leaders sometimes have a hard time connecting with their employees. And the reason why is because when they say, yeah, I understand my employee, do you really understand them? Meaning, do you know how to talk to them individually, not collectively? So the words and phrases that you use actually resonate with them. So they want to open up and that leads to a healthy and productive relationship. That's the challenge people have in the professional world with connecting. And this is what a challenge people have in life. I can tell you when we go over this, I have people raise their hand and say, Paul, I just want to thank you. For what? Now I know why my significant other acts the way they do. Or now I know why the person who works for me acts the way they do or reacts the way they do. When you take a look at it, and this now goes to your question, what's the biggest challenge in the workplace? This is what I see as the biggest challenge. I do this in sales training, I do this in leadership training, and I do this with keynotes. It's that popular because it's that applicable.
I'm speechless. This is such an incredible area, and you have such knowledge on it that I'm just listening like I'm in the audience here, and I just want you to keep telling us more. Like, how do we improve? How do we change it? It's so hard to change ourselves sometimes. So how can we do it? Because you know as well as I do, even though we know we may have a bad habit or do things wrong or not right, we still can't change it sometimes.
So without getting formally coached and trained, if you had to do it on your own, here's what I'm going to suggest. When you talk to somebody, let's talk about from a leader to their team perspective. Wouldn't a healthy conversation be, listen, I want to understand from your perspective, when I communicate with you, what resonates with you? What are some things that you need to hear from me or you've heard from me that say, you know what, that resonates? Or on the flip side, by the way, you have to have a healthy relationship or show vulnerability with this. What are some words or phrases or things that I do that turn you off? I want to know, because the spirit of this conversation is for healthy and productive. And if I don't understand that, that means I'm guessing. So I'm talking about that from a leadership perspective. By the way, here's the other thing when you're selling, let's use it from a selling perspective. Here's the hard thing with selling and with communicating. A lot of times people are not present. That means they're not situationally aware. They just talk. They're not looking for observable actions, facial expressions. Somebody's tone might change. Well, if you're in the audience and you're listening to this, when you're communicating with somebody, let's say it's from a selling perspective or any perspective for that matter, watch facial expressions, listen for tone. And if you see something that triggers somebody, causes a reaction, you need to stop and pivot and change your words so it better resonates. Or you might say to them, is there something that I just did that caused you pause, or something that I just said that caused you pause? I'm trying to get them some awareness, Tony, so they understand what is it that I'm saying or doing that's either turning you on or turning you off.
Now, if I may, Paul,
Please.
we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners in this
Yeah.
audience. And yes, some of us are C-level executives, and
Yeah.
we have people from all walks of life here.
Good.
And if we're going to focus on selling, which is something near and dear to all of our hearts, the preponderance of the audience are entrepreneurs, people that have made it on their own. You're not going to stop and say to the prospect, how do you like this? Or how am I coming across? Now, I understand these are like what you're kind of thinking of when you're giving your presentation, your pitch or whatnot. Yeah. And what I like to do is kind of bring it down into applicable focus, a takeaway. How can we make this better? How do we do it?
So I'm going to, if it's okay with you, Tony, I want to piggyback on something you just said, because I really like what you just said. I'm going to encourage your audience when they are in a business development or selling opportunity as entrepreneurs and business professionals. When you start a conversation with somebody, you should say to them, listen, as we have this conversation, if there's something that I say that resonates with you, that really inspires you, that you find compelling, please tell me. On the flip side, and I say this because I'm asking you to do this intentionally, if there's something that I say that seems to turn you off or is not resonating with you, I want you to interject and tell me. By the way, that's selling in 2023, Tony. This is that vulnerable, that candid type of conversation people need to be having to be better selling professionals, Tony.
Now, I can add in on that when
Please.
I'm selling, even though it's on Zoom and I've sold so much, millions just on the phone.
Yeah.
You just get to hear
That's right.
the person. And when I feel that person is nodding like up and down, yes, or they're doing this, I know that they're getting it. And if they're totally quiet, I know that they're getting it. But if there's a dissonance or like something different going on, and I don't feel in sync with that person, then I know I've gone past the point. And you people out here, excuse my language. Hey, you people out there, it's my Italian. Everyone listening, you know what I'm talking about, because when you're selling, you kind of get that feel. And what I'm trying to do is hone that down into something that really can not only resonate with us, but we can use better. So after this, we can be better sellers.
No question. So we're talking about by the way, if you're selling on the phone, it's a big no-no. In 2020, get in there virtually. We need some sort of face-to-face. Phone it's difficult, as you know, Tony.
Full disclaimer, I will not sell on the phone anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
But in the past, that was the only thing we had. And
you and I in call centers. Absolutely, Tony. Yellow pages, baby. Listen, I want your audience to feel that it's okay to be candid, that it's okay to be transparent, and it's okay to be vulnerable in the conversations they have, whether it's selling or any type of conversation. So what I'm asking them to do, what I'm inspiring them hopefully to do, is to, if something doesn't feel right, say something. If something does feel right, say something. For instance, if I said to you, do you like what I'm saying? And you said, I do like what you're saying. I would say, if it's okay with you, what exactly do you like? I mean, I want them to be that. I'm Boston direct, Tony, if you can't tell. But use your own style. Be candid, be transparent, and be vulnerable. That sells. If you can't tell, I'm passionate about this, Tony, in 2023 and beyond, by the way.
I love it. I love it. It's the way to go. And really, I know we've all heard it. You really just got to be yourself. And if you have trouble with that, try to find yourself and zone in on that. I don't really sell so much these days. I don't think. I just sit back. I talk. I'm Italian. I grew up in Chicago, by the way.
Favorite city in
I
America. Love Chicago.
a little bit of that, but and I kind of get it. The more you're yourself, the more you come across better in whatever sales you do, because you, as the person that's selling, you are the face of the company, even if it's just one person, or the face of the brand. It's you that the person buys from. And it's just
exactly
so
right.
real. You could have the best, literally best superlative, need plus ultra product, but they'll buy because they like you or they don't like you.
And if it's okay for me to add, please, it's okay to pivot in conversations, everyone. It's okay to pivot. You don't have to stay down a lane because you think that's the way to go. You stay down a lane or you pivot to a lane when you see opportunities or you recognize that you need to pivot in conversation.
Paul, can I ask you, the last minute or two we have, perhaps some good negotiation tips or advice that you can give us? I mean, we've given a lot here, and I encourage everyone to really focus on what we said, because you've heard these words, but don't let them go over your head.
So in negotiation, I want people to be very careful about showing emotion when you negotiate. Money can trigger. I'm just using, it can be terms and conditions. It can be things of that shit. But anytime in negotiation, when you're negotiating with somebody and you become emotional to where it doesn't allow for a healthy conversation, you're already behind the eight ball in negotiation. And I'm noticing this more and more. People are uncomfortable at negotiating. You can be a strong business person, but not be a good negotiator. By the way, that's an element of a strong business person, by the way, collectively. I want people to start to try to separate the emotion and have a business conversation. By the way, negotiation is not a game. When people say, well, I don't play that game well, it's not about playing the game well. You need to know how to have a healthy business conversation and try to separate the emotion so you can have a rational conversation to where you ultimately come across as collaborative, Tony, to where you get what you need or close to what you need, and they get close to what they need as well.
I appreciate that, because it is so true. And I think if we can negotiate better and realize that, we can do better. I've been a lousy negotiator, because I don't like to go back and forth. I think this is my opinion, that can cheapen a product by negotiating, going back and forth. And usually I wind up accepting whatever the price is, because I value the product, unless I know that it's ridiculous. But that's me, and I'm not asking everyone to follow that.
Right.
But I don't like to bicker. That's just, but this is many years of selling and experience taking me to that. If it's the real price, if it's a good price, I already know what it's a good price. If it's fair, it's fair. And people's time, people's product, people's ideas, inventions, they're all worth something. So you have to throw that into the mix as well.
Fair. That's right.
I appreciate that. And for our listeners out here, you can go to find out more at the Paul Bramson Companies.com, which is the Paul Bramson is BRAMSON Companies. That's COMPANIES.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. The Paul Bramson Companies.com. There's so much you've done. I'm in awe. I'd love to have you back another time because we haven't even scratched the scratch on the surface.
Especially with negotiation.
Yeah.
Tony, it was a
Thank you
pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.